Well, we're going to go to the book of Joshua. Thank you for that good singing. Thank you, ladies, for the great piano playing. Joshua chapter 2. We have been going through our series on Wednesday nights, the Red Sea, nope, that was the last one, the Jordan River Rules. The Red Sea Rules was a series we did a couple years back. That's a red book that looks like the book on the screen behind me. The sequel to that is this blue book. It's on Amazon if you want to buy it, or Kindle, whatever you want to do. But it's a tremendous little read, and I'm glad that we're going through it on Wednesday nights. It fits right like a hand in a glove with our theme, Forward. And this has been a help to me. I hope it is to you as well. The Jordan River Rules, 10 God-given strategies for moving forward. I'm glad that Dr. Shetler preached on our theme on Sunday. That was a blessing to me, to hear that he wasn't sure what to preach. He came in, saw our banner, and said, that's it. And it's good for me to hear, as the one who's doing the preaching, hear somebody else preach on the same thing. And it was an encouragement to me. He and I spoke together on Saturday quite a bit. He had questions for me about that theme and where did that come from and what's the journey that we're on. And I felt it was very helpful to me personally. And I know that this is what God has for us, not just as a church, but individually. Wherever you're at in your life, whatever you are facing, my prayer for you this year is that you would go forward in your faith with God, that none of us would backslide into unbelief, that none of us would quit and give up on God, but just recognize it's going to be the next step and the next step and the next step forward by faith. We are looking at I'm going to do that a million times. The Jordan River Rules, and we're going to review those rules, and let's say them out loud. Rule number 1, that'll come up on the screen here. Let's say it out loud. Realize God means for you to move forward. Number 2, say no to discouragement, yes to strength. Jordan River Rule number 3, step up to the moment. And then number 4, find someone to help along the way. And that's where we're at today. This is our 4th in the series. Find someone to help along the way. From the book, there's this quote. The chapter begins with, the gift of kindness may start as a small ripple that over time can turn into a tidal wave affecting the lives of many. When you think of the journey of faith that the children of Israel were on, and you think that God's eye was so locked in on his people, the pillar of cloud by day, the pillar of fire by night, he hovered over them, he spoke to them, he disciplined them, he fed them, he gave them water, he purified the bitter water, he protected them, he was all focused on these people, and yet he didn't lose sight of somebody in Jericho that was having questions, that was starting to seek, that was starting to wonder what's going on, as she peered from her window that happened to be on the wall of Jericho, and she'd see the encampment, and she sees that pillar of cloud and that pillar of fire. I don't know if she could really see it, but in my mind's eye, if she couldn't see it, she was hearing about it. The merchants were coming and going. We know that she's going to say in a moment when we read this, people were talking. Rahab was on her own journey. And it's an encouragement to me that God is not so locked in on just one group's journey that he misses out on some other little minuscule sinner. He knows where she is. He knows what she needs. And God was working to intersect 2 journeys. And while I'm in my journey, God may have a Rahab for me to help along the way. And if we will keep our eyes open to who God wants us to help along the way in our journey, it's going to actually help us in our journey. Not just help them, it's going to help you. God's eyes did not lose sight of a seeking sinner who was coming to faith in him. Our journey forward is not just about what he's doing in us. It's about the intersections in the lives of others with whom he is working. God's not just focused on me. He's not just focused on you. He is wanting to use your journey to help someone else. There are others to help along the way. That's Jordan River rule number 4. Find someone else to help along the way. Joshua 2, verse 1. Let's read it here. The Bible says, and Joshua, the son of Nun, sent out of Shittim 2 men to spy secretly, saying, go view the land, even Jericho. And they went and came into an harlot's house named Rahab and lodged there. Let's pause for a prayer. Lord, thank you for your word. Thank you for the truth that we can apply to our lives. I pray, God, that we would not be so focused on our own selves, looking inward, that we can't see those without that you want us to help along our way. Lord, sometimes our journey does take everything out of us. It consumes us. We obsess over every step. We just obsess over all that's happening in our journey. Lord, help us, free us to be able to see the others that you want us to help along the way, that we wouldn't miss a Rahab in our lives. Lord, help a lot of someone's in this message tonight, I pray in Jesus' name. Amen. In evangelism, as a young man, one of the major stresses that I had to deal with on a regular basis was, where are we going as a family? Where are we going to preach? Where are we going to minister? Believe it or not, when you graduate from Bible college and you believe God's leading you out into full-time itinerant speaking, itinerant evangelism, believe it or not, people don't just start calling you. Hey, I heard you graduated. We've been waiting for that day where your tassel would be moved to one side and you'd grab that. Can you come to our church? That doesn't exactly happen that way. Nobody cares. Nobody knows who's the young guy. And so God had to do it, and God did. He opened doors for us, and I look back on it, and it's just amazing what God did. But there were sometimes holes in the schedule. And when you've got a wife and kids, and you also make your living this way, it's like, there were some tense times. And I remember one time specifically, Dr. Bill Rice III had said, John, if you ever have an open week and you're in the Tennessee area, you come to the Bill Rice Ranch, park your trailer, I'll feed you, you can just relax, you don't pay us a dime, it's my ministry to you as an evangelist. I said, man, what a guy. Well, the day came, we didn't just have a week open, we had like a month open, but I wasn't going to stay there for a month. I was just going to go for a week. So I called Dr. Bill, hey, can I come for this 1 week? He says, well, you are in luck. That's family camp. You're going to get a free week of family camp. I said, I didn't even know that. So we went, parked our trailer, and the whole time I'm just praying, Lord, where do you want us to be? I've got all these open weeks, and I need to fill these, and I don't want to just, I'm glad for Dr. Bill, and this week is going to be awesome, and it was awesome. It was an amazing family camp. But I want to get out of here and go preach someplace. So I said, Lord, would you help me find somebody at the Bill Rice Ranch who will have us in next week, and maybe even next couple of weeks? And so I go, well, nobody was coming to me. Brother Barber, you're here. I've been looking for you. Would you come preach for us? That didn't happen. So Samuel was about this big. And, well, he's bigger than that. We had Samuel and Aaron. And I took him down to the pool for a swim time. And there were a lot of other dads. And there was one other man who had his little boy, same age. And so we started swimming together, and I'm talking to this guy. I find out he's a pastor. Come to find out he's a church planter in Indiana. And he's just getting started. And he's telling me all about what's going on and his testimony, how he had grown up in this town, and he was the town graffiti artist. He had graffitied the whole place, and he was very proud of his artwork. Then he got saved, went to Bible college, and now he's coming back to plant a church in his town. And this guy is super, this is cool. I want to help this guy. And then something said to me, yeah, but he won't be able to pay. You could go help him, but this guy's a church planter. He's got nothing. And I thought, oh man, I need to go places that can support my family as well. You know, I got kids and we got bills and so forth. The more I talked to this guy, the Lord was just saying, forget the finances, go help this guy. He was just getting ready to start his big grand opening. I knew I could park my trailer at another Baptist church half an hour away, and I could go and I could help this guy. And so I just said, brother, if you have next week open, I'm happy to come, park my trailer at such a church, go soul winning with you every day, whatever you need. I can preach for you, I could do anything, but we're available. Oh man, he was thrilled. You would do that? He said, I can't pay you. We can't do it. We can't do anything for you. I mean, if you come, you'd be on your own. I said, no, that's totally fine. I got a trailer, we got a fridge, it's stocked, we'll be fine. So we went. We made friends with this family, and we had a great time, door knocking, preaching, the whole 9 yards. And as he had said, he was good to his word. They couldn't pay. And that's okay. I knew that going in. But he says, hey, brother, before you leave town, I want you to go to our area preachers fellowship. And he said, I wish we could do something for you. You've been such a blessing. And we helped them and however we could. But so we go to this preachers fellowship, and I go in, and it's nothing but gray hair. And these guys, they weren't just old preachers. They were ancient preachers. And me and this fellow walk in, and we're both, at that time, I would have been like 28, and he was probably 25. When we walked in, every one of these guys look at us, and they swarmed us. We didn't know there was young preachers in town. Well, this is great. Where'd you guys come from? Then they find out that I'm an evangelist with this guy, and I got 5 meetings out of that. 5 full week paying meetings. This guy signed me. They don't even know who I am. I'm thinking, you shouldn't do this, pal. You don't know who I am. I'm going to come preach to your people. I'm just some young 28-year-old kid. But they're all, a young preacher. We've been praying for young preachers. And, come to my church. I ended up having 5 week-long paying meetings that were all tremendous meetings. And it started when I said, I'm going to help this guy. And I don't think he can help me, but this is what God wants me to do. And God was in it. You know, when you help someone on your journey and you're all obsessed with your journey and your needs and what you got to do, you can sometimes miss what God's doing. Trust God. You may find someone, in the case of Joshua 2, you may find Rahab the harlot, who God's going to use in a great way. Don't get so short-sighted that you miss the bigger picture of what God is doing. All right, Joshua chapter 2, we're going to read through. No, I'm going to try to do what Dr. Shetler said. If you were there for that session, when you use narrative, drop the truth in along the way. Okay, Dr. Shetler, we're going to try to do that here. He is a great preacher with narrative. All right, number 1, be willing to take the road less traveled. Be willing to take the road less traveled. Bible told us that these 2 men go to spy secretly. They go to view the land, even Jericho, and they went and came into an harlot's house. Now that is interesting, especially from our independent fundamental Baptist perspective. If I say, all right, I need a couple of guys to survey such and such a town, and we might do a church plant there, and a couple of guys, I wouldn't expect you to hole up at a harlot's house, right? I mean, that's just not what we do. How did this happen? Why did this happen? What is going on? I thought these guys were good Jews. Didn't you realize the last time spies went into the land, it went very, very, very sour, and you guys spent 40 years wandering the wilderness. Looks like they're getting close to messing it up again. Well, what happened here? Well, I think this is a very, just a very practical thing that they did. The choice of lodging made sense for 2 men who were trying to remain undercover. They're trying to just masquerade as a couple of foreigners who are traveling through and nothing to see here. We're not spies or anything like that, And so what would foreigners do? They would stop many times after a long journey at a place which was more than a hotel. You got more than a meal and a place to stay. There were other favors that could be taken advantage of there. And this would have been very, very normal for a Canaanite city, just a godless city. You're the God of your own universe. Do what you want. And so we know that this harlot, Rahab, her house was on the city wall. That would have been a very prominent place. In other words, she may not have been in their eyes as this lowly sinner, but she was a businesswoman who had quite something going on the wall, right where the commerce took place, where the travelers came and so forth. And so, hey, these gentlemen were just practically trying to lay low. Now, I will also say, being God-fearing Jews, they had some accountability. They went together. I would not suggest anyone take this kind of a step, period. This is what they were supposed to do, but certainly not without accountability. But they went there. It was definitely the road less traveled, but God was leading them. And God was leading them in this, because there was someone there that God was working in. A heart was being stirred. This is a bit of a rebuke to us. Sometimes we are so cookie cutter, so boxy. Everything has to fit in our perfect little box. But if we are loving the Lord our God with our whole heart, soul, mind, and strength, if we have proper accountability, if we are being careful and trying to be God-led, we ought to be willing for God to take us out of our comfort zone to interact with some of the folks that He intersects us with, that we meet along the way, and not just write somebody off. I can't talk to you. You are the kind of sinner that's so bad, we can't even have a conversation. That's not how God looks at this. And I'm glad that this is kind of an out-of-the-box situation. And when you look at what God did, this entire Jericho story is out of the box. Be willing to go the road less traveled. There may be some people that God brings across your path that you may think, okay, this is different. But God wants you to interact with them, maybe share what God is doing in your life. We read on, verse 2, and it says, "And it was told the king of Jericho, saying, Behold, there came men in hither tonight of the children of Israel to search out the country." I would love to know how they found that out. It doesn't say, but somebody was spying on them and figured out exactly what was going on. And the king of Jericho sent unto Rahab, saying, Bring forth the men that are come to thee, which are entered into thine house, for they be come to search out all the country. And the woman took the two men and hid them, and said thus, There came men unto me, but I wist not whence they were. And it came to pass about the time of the shutting of the gate, when it was dark, that the men went out. Whither the men went, I wot not. Pursue after them quickly, for ye shall overtake them. But she had brought them up to the roof of the house, and hid them with the stalks of flax, which she had laid in order upon the roof. And the men pursued after them the way to Jordan unto the fords. And as soon as they which pursued after them were gone, they shut the gate. And before they were laid down, she came up unto the roof. She said unto the men, and I'm going to come back to that in a moment. All right. There's so much that could be said here in this story, so much that could be unpacked, but I see a lot of grace shown to this woman, a lot of mercy and grace. First of all, the fact that God, leading His spies, directs them into a harlot's house. That's not normally what we do, but God knew there was something going on here, and He needed to get His men in touch with her. There was grace shown there. But also there's grace shown in the fact that she lies. She tells a bold-faced lie. Thou shalt not bear false witness. And I am not going to soft pedal that tonight. And I'm also not going to excuse this. I'm going to say God is very merciful, very long-suffering, full of grace and compassion. She was doing the best she knew how to do with what she had. She hadn't come all the way to the Lord yet. She was still coming. She's not the only one who lied in the scriptures, by the way. David lied and deceived, slobbered all over his beard and acted like he was a madman and tried to confuse the enemy king, the Philistine king. It's happened before. I'm glad that God did not just turn his back on David. Now, we don't sanction these things. We don't say, hey, lying is okay. See, it worked for David. It worked for Rahab. But I think it does tell us something about God and his long-suffering and his mercy and his grace, that he was wooing this one to himself. And she simply was, in a sense, though it was a lie, she was still stepping out in some serious faith. There was faith mixed in here. I know that sounds weird, but she was stepping out for these men. She was putting her neck on the line. So, you look at this, and I see a woman who is coming to faith and coming to bold faith. Point number 2. I didn't give you point number 2 yet. Remember that your journey may inspire someone else's faith. Here's this woman. She has everything to lose. She's got a house on the gate. A prosperous business, we can assume. She's known. And she risks it all, stepping out in bold, courageous, risky faith. Why? Because she's been watching someone else's faith. We're going to read what she says in a moment. Let me read you this from the book. Guided by providence, it was Rahab's house the spies entered. She'd heard the rumors about the Israelites. She knew the stories of the parting of the Red Sea. I'm sure she'd also heard about all of the works there that happened in Egypt. Perhaps from her window she could see their massed encampment beyond the Jordan, and she yearned to know their God. Something was stirring in her. And she's bold to even defy her king, risking her life. I want to keep reading, though. So where do we leave off? Before they go down, okay, verse 9. And she said unto the men, I know that the Lord hath given you the land. Now, what do we call that in one word? I'd call that faith. How do you know anything? What do you know? Who are you? She is just watching. She is hearing. She is thinking and meditating on what's going on. She is listening to the people. She's seeing their responses. She has her own questions. She has her own emptiness. She has done it all. She has not found what she's been looking for. And she says, there's got to be something different. And boy, if half the stuff is true that I'm hearing about Israel, I want a piece of that. It's better than what I have. She's coming to faith. I know that the Lord hath given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when ye came out of Egypt. Word travels fast, far and wide. When ye came out of Egypt, and what ye did unto the 2 kings of the Amorites that were on the other side Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. That was a lot closer to home. That was right across the Jordan. And as soon as we had heard these things, our hearts did melt, neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, He is God in heaven above and in earth beneath. This is incredible to hear this from a Canaanite woman who is immoral, and by all of our biblical standards, she is just, she's doing her own thing. And yet she says some powerful things. For the Lord your God, He is God in heaven above and in earth beneath. This woman is coming to faith. Now therefore I pray you, swear unto me by the Lord, since I have showed you kindness, that you will also show kindness in my Father's house. We'll come back to that in a moment. What this woman is doing is literally like a 1 in a million. There's nobody else in Jericho that we know of that's coming to faith. Nobody. Everybody's seeing what she's seeing. Everybody's hearing what she's hearing. But you know, faith is risky. And nobody wants to buck Jericho and the king and, you know, are you going? Are you going? Oh, no? Okay, I guess we're all together. Faith is willing to stand out. Faith is willing to step out and be all alone. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, these guys had incredible bold faith, and they were willing to be filled with faith by themselves. What was it that led her to these conclusions? The Lord your God, He is God in heaven above and in earth beneath. What was it? It was the journey of faith that they were on, all that God was doing in their lives, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as they say. All of it proved to her, God is God. Your God is God. And it's interesting, I don't know what all she heard, but if she heard about Sihon and Og, if she heard about the parting of the Red Sea, if she heard about the miracles of Egypt, she may have also heard about the earth swallowing up some of their own people. She may have also heard about some of the judgment where they wandered in the wilderness for 40 years. And whereas some people could say, see, that God, I mean, come on, He kills His own people. He has His own people wander in the wilderness. That would be a scoffer's response. But someone who is coming at this rationally and humbly would say, whoa, He is God. He is to be feared. He won't even give His own people a pass. That's the real God. He is who He is. He does not change. There's no candy coating for the Christian kids. And she realizes this God is to be feared. Therefore, there's some bold steps I'm willing to make. I think it's exciting. As you walk on your journey, whatever you're dealing with, wherever you're going, will you please remember that whether you want it or not, others are watching or observing. We can't help it. Oh, come on, stop watching me. No, we're all human. We all watch each other. We observe, we talk, we communicate, we hear. It breaks my heart when I hear people who talk to me and say, Pastor, I feel like everybody's talking about me behind my back. Pastor, I don't know, maybe I think people said that. You know, we are a family. And yes, there could be gossip, there could be slander, that'd be wrong. But there are actually sincere souls. Hey, have you heard? Where is so-and-so? What's going on? Oh, she's going through a real trial. Here's what's going on. Folks, that's not necessarily bad. That can be very good. That can help us to be locked in, to be praying and so forth. But people are watching. People are observing. And that can encourage you that your journey is maybe more meaningful than even you realized. If I'm going through something tough, of course, I want to grow through it and I want to get everything out of it that God has for me to get out of it. I don't want it to be wasted. But if I'm going through something tough and I can learn that not only will I be benefited, but all of you can be benefited, well, it makes it way more easy to embrace and to reconcile. Be willing to take the road less traveled And remember that your journey may inspire someone else's faith. And this woman had faith that I guarantee you these two men did not see coming. She defied her king and boldly acclaimed, your God is God, the God in heaven and in earth. People are watching you and me, but are we leading them to that kind of faith? In my journey, am I going to curse God, doubt God, slander my God to everyone who's watching? Or will I, by my encouragement, by my faith, encourage others to also follow him? Number 3, be willing to give help, or be ready both to give help and to receive it along the way. Be ready both to give help and to receive it along the way. Verse 12, now therefore I pray you swear unto me by the Lord, since I have showed you this kindness, that ye also will show kindness unto my father's house, and give me a true token, that ye will save alive my father, my mother, my brethren, my sisters, and all they have, and deliver our lives from death. And the men answered her, our life for yours. If ye utter not this our business, it shall be when the Lord hath given us the land, that we will deal kindly with and truly with thee. Then she let them down by a cord through the window. She says, look, I've helped you. I want you to help me. And they did. There was a mutual give and take that went on here. You know, one of the hardest things in the Christian life is the fact that we have to be ready both to give help and receive help. And for some of us, receiving help is one of the hardest things for us to possibly come to grips with. I remember one of my friends in college. He and I had done so much ministry together. And we were so close. I would say he was probably my best friend in college. We traveled parts of the world together, preached all over the place. And I remember he was having a particularly difficult time. He was going through some stuff. And I was trying to be a help to him. And one Wednesday night after church, we walked out together, and right there by the middle doors at our church, I said something to him and put my hand on his shoulder. And I was trying to encourage him. And he whirled around, threw my hand off of his shoulder, and he said, I am not your ministry. And he walked off. And I thought, humph, well, that's a fine thing. I'm just trying to help you love Jesus, brother. And I know what I said wasn't like, I wasn't arguing with him or preaching at him. I was trying to encourage him. And I thought, well, okay, fine. You know what? I have had the same thing in my life since then, multiple times, where I've been the one with his response. Will you back off? I'm not your ministry. I don't need you helping me right now. I'm supposed to help you. This is a one-way street. Help goes to you, help goes to you. That's what we do around here. You know what? God doesn't let anybody get away with that. Because if you are only ever the one-way channel of God's goodness and grace to others, you as a human won't be able to handle that. You'll get so puffed up with pride, you will self-destruct. The Apostle Paul, even he had to receive ministry. Galatians 6:2 says, bear ye one another's burdens. It doesn't say, but some of you won't need that. Some of you are going to be fine. No. Paul was able to both receive ministry from those he was called to minister to and minister to those people. Philippians 4:10, but I rejoiced in the Lord greatly that now at the last your care of me hath flourished again. Do you realize some of us in this room would choke on those words? We couldn't write that. So-and-so, Thank you for the meal and the care and the so-and-so and the gifts and the this and the that. You've taken care of me so well. And I am rejoicing that your care for me has flourished again. Signed, me. Think about it. Some of you guys in here, you would choke on that. Your care can't flourish for me. My care has to flourish for you. This is the Apostle Paul writing, the guy who ministered to everybody, and yet he could still rejoice when he knew he was down and he needed help, and God was sending messengers of grace to him. He rejoiced in it. Hey, your care of me has flourished again, wherein ye were also careful, but ye lacked opportunity. Not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned, in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. In other words, it's not even about what you gave me. I just love the fact that you have learned to give, that you've learned to serve. It thrills my heart. And I'll let you serve me. If that's where we're at in life, go for it. I know how to both be abased, I know how to abound everywhere and in all things. I'm instructed to both to be full and hungry, both to abound and suffer need. He says, I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. So he says, I'm going to be okay, but notwithstanding, ye have well done that ye did communicate with my affliction. Do you know what some of us say? Oh, you didn't have to do that. No. No, we don't need anything. No, we don't need meals. Rumble. No, don't need meals. We do not need, honey, quiet, kids, quiet. We do not need meals. Say it together. We do not need meals. But a pizza would be nice. Or, I don't need any money. I don't need any help. I don't need any prayer. But pray for my grandma. She's sick. Anyway, you get the idea. He says, I'm glad. I'm glad for this, that you communicated with my affliction. Now, you Philippians know also that in the beginning of the gospel, when I departed from Macedonia, no church communicated with me concerning giving and receiving, but ye only. For even in Thessalonica ye sent once and again unto my necessity, not because I desire a gift, but I desire fruit that may abound to your account. Do you see what it's about, guys? When you can't receive somebody else's ministry, you are keeping them from the fruit that would abound on their account. You're hurting people. And that's not what you want to do. You've got to receive help when God has you up against the ropes. And the bell, ding, 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 you're back in the corner. Oh, this slugfest with the devil, I don't know if I can handle another round. Well, you got 5 more rounds, pal. And someone wants to give you water. And no, I'm fine. You're actually refusing them the opportunity to receive a blessing from God. So what does he say? But I have all and abound. I am full, having received of Epaphroditus the things that were sent from you, an odor of a sweet smell, a sacrifice acceptable, well-pleasing to God. You've got to be willing in your journey and ready to give help. Boy, we love that. We're servants and we're ministers and we want to serve people. But you've also got to be willing to receive it along the way. These 2 guys could have been proud, arrogant guys who are like, no, we're not taking no help from some Canaanite harlot woman. We're not. No. We'll handle this ourselves. And they would have messed up one of the most beautiful stories ever written in the Scripture. Now, God would have found her another way, but they would have been written out of it. Are you willing both to give help and to receive it along your journey? Number 4, we're losing time. Do not sell short the work of God in the life of a washed out sinner. Don't sell them short. Never sell short God's stock. Are you guys familiar with where the phrase sell short came from? Don't sell me short now. Come on. Don't sell it short. Peter, can you help me in Matthew? And Brian, come on up here, guys. So, you're going to be a stock owner, okay? These are all your stocks. That you're the stock owner, so here you go. You just stand. Let's go back here. All right. You are going to be a buyer, all right? And I'm going to sell. So what we can do is, so we're going to say, I need this back, by the way. I'm not Dr. Shetler handing out cash, Peter. Okay. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to buy. If I believe that Peter's stock is not good, I'm going to borrow it, and I'll give it back. Now I'm going to sell it to you for $10. This is worth $10. So now you're a stock owner. I got $10. And then Peter says, I'd like my stock back. You borrowed it, but I want it back. Okay, no problem. So I wait. And a little bit of time, just like I thought, his stock really was junk. And it went down to $1. So you want your stock back? Yeah, no, he does. He wants it back. Okay. Yeah, he wants it back. Yeah. So it's worth $1 now. Sorry, Matt, but that's what the market does. So you get $1. I take this, and then I go over here, right? And then I give him back with a penny of interest. And what did I make? $9, right? So what we're going to do it again. So I borrow. And I do this over and over and over. I'm just raking in the dough because his stock is such junk. Every time it pumps up, I borrow it quick and I sell it. And then sure enough, it sells off and I buy it back for lower, give it back, and we just do this. That's called selling a stock short. But then what happens if I do this whole thing? So what do we do? Let's go back. All right, so $10, you get the stock. All right. Now, Brian, you're going to come into this in a second. And so then, actually, let's do it to Brian. Yeah. So it goes to Brian, and he wants a piece of this action. But now what happens is the stock goes up to $20. So that stinks. Now I have to pay Brian $20, right? Now I have a stock. I have to get back to him. Now I just lost money. Did you guys follow that? All right. So what happened in 2020, there was a stock called GameStop. People were buying it for $1.50. No, I'm sorry, they were borrowing it, selling it for $1.50, buying it back for $1, and just doing it over and over. And the stock was junk. And then what happened is, enough people started buying it, they spiked it to $120. People had sold it short for $1.50, thinking they could buy it back at it got down to 64 cents. That's a pretty good deal. Then it went from 64 cents all the way to 120. Only some of these people had literally hundreds of thousands of shares. In 2020, by November, December of 2020, people had lost millions and millions of dollars, right? So when you sell a stock short to Brian or to, I got to get my money back, don't I? All right, or whoever's buying, you have to know that that stock is going down, right? All right, thanks, gentlemen. That was not just a illustration. Oh, yeah, I need my stock back. All right. So when it comes to anything that God is touching, don't sell it short. When it comes to so GameStop was a broken down, outdated, antiquated, it was going to go out of business. Nobody played physical video games anymore. They were all online. It was a sure thing to short sell that stock. And people were raking in the money until it became an actual craze to buy the stock, sending it to $120. And people lost millions and millions of dollars. Well, the short sellers lost millions. The buyers made millions. All right, it's a risky thing to sell short in the stock market. But I'll tell you this, don't ever sell short what God can do in a washed out sinner. Here is Rahab. She's a harlot, so that's a strike against her. She's a Canaanite, that's a strike against her. She's not in that little group that's watched over by the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud. She's on the outside of everything, man. Well, we can short sell that. No. God has come to seek and to save that which is lost. God makes his living, shall we say, bad phrase for God, but transforming hearts, transforming lives. And when you look at this, you've got a life that was left for dead, God bringing it back to life. I got so much I wanted to say, but I'm going to have to skip through for sake of time. Rahab's story has become a metaphor for salvation. She was a sinner awaiting her impending doom. They were going to come and wipe her out. And everyone else got wiped out but her and her family and friends that came into her house. She was a sinner awaiting impending doom. She stepped out and put her faith in God. And she placed her fate entirely in his hands. Without his mercy, she would perish. And what happened? He saves her. He delivers her. Her red cord is the symbol that reminds us of what? A couple of things. It reminds us of the Old Testament Passover. When I see the blood on the doorpost, I will pass over you. They had just seen that not too long ago in Egypt, and now they're seeing the same type of a thing happen in Jericho. Hey, salvation is not just a location, it is worldwide. God loved the whole world. He gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Her red cord is a type, a symbol in a way, of the blood of Christ. And I would say this, very likely that red cord could represent the fact that God not just redeems, but he can take those things that were used for evil and use them for good. Why does she have a red cord on the top of her roof? This is just me surmising. With the business that she was in, it's very likely this was not the first time she let some guys down the window by a cord. Maybe some guys didn't want to be seen going in or coming out. And she seemed to know how to do this very well. And the guys didn't fall to their deaths. She knew how to tie that rope off. She knew how to do it. And why red? Why would you need a red cord? I mean, that could be an easy thing to say, hey, guys, you don't want to come in through the gate. Just go around the wall, look for the cord in the window, climb up. I don't know. But bottom line, God takes this, whatever it was, and it becomes a symbol of his salvation. Not only that, in this metaphor of salvation, not only that, but she becomes a bold witness to her friends and family, bringing them to the safety of her home. And everyone who comes in is safe and is marked by the blood, if you will, but in this case, symbolized by the red cord. She was an Old Testament soul winner. That's what she was. Now, where does Rahab end up being mentioned in the New Testament? Someone holler it out. There we go. He got all three. What in the world? Matthew 1, Hebrews 11, James 2. Now, Hebrews 11, that's the faith passage. Hebrews and the James, everyone, that's where we think of her as far as her New Testament reference. But what about Matthew 1? What was that? Matthew 1 is the genealogy of Christ. And 5 women are specifically called out in that genealogy. By the way, according to Jews, genealogy was very important. All of them knew their genealogy. But typically the mother was not mentioned. That's just how they did it. It was the dad begat the son, blah, 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 blah. 5 women are brought out. And all 5 of them that are highlighted in Matthew 1 are those who most people would want to cover up. Do you remember who they were? Of course, Mary. Then you have Rahab, you have Tamar, Bathsheba, and Ruth. All 5 of those women. Ruth was a Moabite. We don't want to highlight that. Cover her up. Then you have Bathsheba. Well, she got in trouble with David, and that wasn't a good situation. Tamar, she played the harlot with her father-in-law. That's not a good situation. Rahab was a harlot, and then Mary was a perceived adulteress. Now, she was not, but in her day, they thought she was. All 5 of these women, if they're in your genealogy, you would want to cover it up. God calls it out to demonstrate what God can do in the work of any washed out sinner. Don't sell short the work of God in the life of any sinner. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell down after they were encompassed about 7 days. By faith, the harlot Rahab perished not with them that believed not when she had received the spies with peace. Praise God for that testimony. And number 5, we're done. Recognize that helping others helps you. So the 2 men returned and descended from the mountain, verse 23, and passed over and came to Joshua the son of Nun and told him all things that befell them. And they said unto Joshua, truly the Lord hath delivered into our hands all the land, for even all the inhabitants of the country do faint because of us. These guys get back and they realize, whoa, look at what God is doing. And God used Rahab to show them that. You let God open your eyes to those that are around you on your journey and be willing to help someone along the way, and you'll be amazed at what God does for your own journey. I'll tell you, folks, because of the fact that I am a pastor by profession, I get to see this all the time. My job is to help you. And believe it or not, I don't always feel like it. I don't always feel like preaching. And I'm not going to stand here and say, yes, every time I come up here, it's just wonderful. No, there are times where I don't feel good. There are times I'm tired. There have been some Wednesday nights. Wednesday comes in the middle of the week. All kinds of stuff can happen, and Wednesday can be a crazy day. There were times I come up here on a Wednesday night, and I have a headache, and I'm like, I'm ready to go to bed. I am not ready to preach to anybody. And yet, this is what I'm called to do. God gives grace, and we go for it, right? And you know what? I've found over and over and over, every time I do what God's called me to do, and I seek to help people, God helps me. I experience grace in the pulpit, or I engage with someone, and just telling someone what they needed to hear happens to be what I needed to hear. But I needed you to have the problem so I could tell you, so I could hear myself say it. That's how it works. Be willing to help someone along the way. And when you interact with others and you get your head up and look past just the trials you're obsessing over, God will pull you out of yourself and intersect you with other people's lives, and He will help you along the way. Be willing to take the road less traveled. Remember that your journey may inspire someone else's faith. Be willing to give help and to receive it along the way. Do not sell short the work of God in the life of a washed out sinner. And remember that helping others helps you.